Animation Path is a new wind mode for wind effectors introduced in LightWave 9. This new wind mode allows you to create a path to control wind in a scene. Let's take a look at the Animation Path wind mode in action. I'm going to start by adding a wind effector to the scene, and by default wind mode is set to direction. We're going to change that to Animation Path, and we have the option for it to go ahead and set up two base control handles by using this make path. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I've created handle 2 and handle 1. I'm going to go back to my wind, and before we close this down, the speed of the wind is controlled by power. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. We'll go ahead and crank it up. Let's do 600. Okay, and I'll close that down. So now I've got my two handles that are controlling the direction of the wind. So as we can see, I've got this null, and it's pointing straight up. If I grab handle 2, I can move it, and you can see with these blue lines, you can see the direction of the wind. It starts at handle 1 and travels to handle 2. I'm not limited to just two control handles. I can have unlimited handles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, with this one selected, I'm going to clone it. And I'm going to move it over here. Let's clone it again. And move it here. Clone it again. And move it here. So now I've created this path for my wind to travel along. Now it's based off of the placement of these handles, but it can also be the size of those handles. So on this handle right here, I'm going to size it down a little bit, and I can also rotate it. So I'm going to use the pitch, and I'm going to kind of spin that around. I'm not limited to 360 degrees, so I'm just going to spin that a few times. And so now I have this as my wind path. This path is controlled by any child items of the wind effector, and it's not limited to these null objects. I can have any object in the scene become a control handle. I can even have, if I wanted to, the camera or the light. All I really need to do is go over to the scene editor, and let's use the camera, and I'm going to just make the camera a child of the wind effector, and as you can see, now the path travels all the way and heads over to where the camera is. So that we can get a better idea of what this path is doing, let's go ahead and add a particle emitter. So I'm going to add a particle emitter. We'll put it right here. And all I'm going to change is, let's change the lifetime, the lifespan of these particles. I'm going to go ahead and change it to 200. Close this. Let's give ourselves some more frames to work with. So I'll change the end frame to 200, and we'll scrub through, and we can see our particles traveling along the path. So I'll go ahead and push play on that. So they kind of spin around here, and then they head out over to the camera, which is the last control handle. The Animation Path wind mode is not limited to working with particles. It also works with other dynamics. In this example, we have a wind emitter using the Animation Path wind mode, and we have a flat plane here with hard effects applied. In order to have the wind affect the hard effects item, we need to calculate it. We also need to calculate the wind anytime we animate. In this case, we're animating one of the control handles, and that would need to be calculated as well. So let's go ahead and calculate that. And as we can see, not only are the particles being affected by the wind, but the hard body dynamics using hard effects are being affected as well. You can see the pieces scrolling up through the wind, being pulled up and twisted with the wind. The Animation Path wind mode adds massive amounts of power to using wind effectors in LightWave 9.